Okay, good morning, students. In the last class, we have started with the chapter 2 ARM processor fundamentals. Okay, uh, here some students has requested me for to explain a CPSR. So, for a little time, let me try to recall. Okay, so here, first thing to explain a CPSR, we should know there are 6 modes for the ARM processor. So, user bar system, fast interrupt request, and supervisor, undefined, and abort. So, all these modes have different bit combination. Okay, so these are the bits 10111 for abort. Okay, for fast interrupt request 1 4 times 0 and 1, for interrupt request 10010. So for supervisor 10011. So like that we have a different combination of bits given for the mode. So based upon this combination of a mode, processor enters different mode. Okay, so once we know that there are 6 different modes, we can explain CPSR with more or thorough knowledge. So one important point before a repetition I would like to uh, inform you that it's of a 8 marks question, I think. So please concentrate more. The first point about CPSR is the size of CPSR is 32 bits. Size of CPSR is 32 bits. Full form is current program status register. Okay, current program status register. The here the starting bit is 0 here, in which I have zoomed, and the last bit is 31. So hence that makes 32 bits in total. Okay, so next point is among these among the bits of CPSR, if a bit is 1, we should think that activity has taken place. Say here in the diagram 29th bit, right now it is 1. So let us take what you mean by 29th bit. It's a carry. Yes, what we shall have to think for 1 is, yes, carry has occurred. See there, 30th bit 0. That means what? Z equal to 0. So we should think, what do you mean by definition of Z? Z definition is something we did, like operation, maybe arithmetic or maybe logical, its result is not 0. If its result is 0, then Z becomes 1. If its answer is not 0, then Z will not become 1. That means it becomes 0. Okay, that is how to study this. So let's take the first 5 bits, 0th bit to 4th bit. Okay, 0th bit to 4th bit together, how many it are, how many these bits are, total 5. Okay, so these all 5 bits will give us mode. So where this part is here, where I am zooming in, so 0 to 4th, these are total 5 bits. Here we can see the mode. So now let me give you one way how to recall or how to remember the mode's value here. So I am zooming in the mode. Okay, so please count how many bits are here from your right, that means LSB 1 2 3 4 5. So from your right side, that means LSB side, go on giving the values like 2 raised to 0, 2 raised to 1, 2 raised to 2, 2 raised to 3, 2 raised to 4. Smallest value is 2 raised to 0, highest value is 2 raised to 4. Okay, sorry, smallest value is 2 raised to 0 and highest is 2 raised to 4. So binary weights. So what you mean by now 10111 means 23. Okay, so next FIQ. What is its here? Second one is what? FIQ, fast interrupt request. What is its value? 10001. So if it is 10001, number will be 17. Okay, number will be 17. The third mode is interrupt request. Its symbol is 10010. which is 18. Okay, so third next mode is supervisor, that means 10011, that is 19. What is the short form of supervisor? Here you can say SVC. Let's see in the diagram. 10011, is it there? Yes, supervisor. Like this we have to remember the remain. System, all are ones, that means 31. Okay, undefined, that means 11011, that value is 27. So next one with all zeros, that is user mode, so that means 16. This is a way how we have to remember. Okay, okay, so this is way to remember. So let me repeat. Abort means 23, fast interrupt request means 17, interrupt request means 18, supervisor means 19, system means 31, undefined means 27, user means 16. Okay, so once we finish this modes, then we have fifth bit as thumb, bit number 5. Here in the diagram, fifth bit is 5. Okay, so what do you mean by thumb? See, to understand this, we should think T along with J here, 24th, where there is a zoom in now. 24th and 5th we should study together. So let me give a repetition of this part. J and T cannot be one both at a time. That means J equal to 1 and T equal to 1 is not allowed. Okay, but what are the other cases allowed? J equal to 0, T equal to 0, allowed. J equal to 0, T equal to 1, it's also allowed. J equal to 1, T equal to 0, it is also allowed. Only not allowed case is what? J1 and T1. Okay, so what do you mean by J and T together? J means jizzle, T means thumb. I mentioned simple logic in the previous session. A person can lift 32 kg weight. See here, arm instruction means 32 kg, 32 kg capacity he can lift. So can you, if we give him 16 kgs to lift, can he lift it? Yes, because his capacity is beyond that. That means he can lift two number of 16 kg weights at a time because his capacity is 32. Same way, Jezel means what? Smaller work of what? 8 kg, and how much his capacity is? 32. So he can do 4 works at a time. So that means what? Always remember the bit number, this one, 5th and 24th, we should think together. If both are 0, computer executes in 32 bit size. If T is 1 and J is 0, computer executes in 16 bits mode. If J1, T0, computer means ARM controller executes in Jizzle mode. I hope 5th bit and 24th bit are clear now. Okay, similarly we have to explain another two bits together. Those are 6th and 7th. 6th means what? Interrupt. Sorry, 6th means fast interrupt, 7th means interrupt. So there cannot be both at a time. That means what? I equal to 1, F equal to 1, both are not allowed. Yes, what is allowed? I equal to 0, F equal to 0, allowed. That means computer not enters or not entertains nor the normal interrupt, neither normal interrupt nor fast interrupt. It executes without any interrupts. That's what the definition of I0, F0. If I equal to 1, F equal to 0, computer supports only normal type of interrupts. If I0, F1, that means what? Fast interrupt is 1. That means computer can execute fast interrupts right now. But both 1 is not allowed. Hence, what happened here with the 6th and 7th bit? See here, interrupt and fast interrupt together. Together cannot be high, anyone can be high or both can be low. Okay, so I mentioned about 24th bit already. So now let's take for 27th bit here. So now what is 27th bit? Here is a definition. Q, that means what? Saturation. So I mentioned this, okay, the ATM pin generally is of 4 digit. So now what I will do, I will insert a card. Now the ATM machine is asking me to enter the pin number. So I have 4 digits, some combination I have entered a 1 button, so 3 more buttons are expected, so saturation is not yet reached. I have entered another button, so saturation is not yet reached. Third button I enter, no saturation. As soon as I enter a fourth button, saturation is reached. Saturation means full. Okay, so there are 20 seats in the class, 19 students are present, that means one seat is extra, means vacant. As one more student enters, saturation is reached. So that means we can close the door. Anybody else will come, it is called as saturation over or overflow of data. So immediately once all seats are filled, Q will become high. What is bit number of Q? 27. Same way, what do you mean by 28th? Okay, 28 means it's also kind of overflow, but not by quantity of data, by processing of data. I have multiplied two numbers. Okay, I have shown, I think, the two numbers. After multiplication of two numbers, result is not possible to store in same size of operand. I will go beyond the limitation, that is called as overflow. So next one is carry. Of work of 2, most of the time carry occurs only when we do either multiplication or addition. So borrow concept will come when it is subtraction and division. Okay, so what do you mean by carry? Yeah, the operation on two operands resulted in a carry. So that means what? See, one definition, all carry are not a overflow, but all overflow definitely a carry. Is it clear? All carry are not overflow, but all overflow definitely a carry. Okay, so next, Z. I have mentioned this. Z means 0. If operation on two operands gives us 0 answer, Z sets to 1, or we call Z is set. If Z is set, definitely we should think some operation on two operands or one operand here has given answer of 0. Okay, so next, 31st bit. 31st bit is n. The answer is negative. Simple way. If answer is negative, n is 1. If answer is positive, n is 0. So one condition for all this CPSR to study, if a particular bit during the CPSR operation check, or we are studying the CPSR, any bit is 1, we have to think that that case has taken place. So that means we have added or we have done something, answer is 0, Z will become 1. So what we have to think for Z1, because of operation on two operands or one operand, answer has generated as 0. So like that we have to think about CPSR. Okay, so now in the last class I have tried to explain about the differences between the states and instruction set. See, this is also sub part of CPSR. So I am trying to recall once. ARM instructions, that means J0 T0. Thumb instruction, that means J0 T1. Jezzel instruction, that means J1 and T0. So bits are 5th and 24th together. Okay, so there are some of the differences between ARM instruction and thumb instruction, which I have discussed in the last class. Some points let me recall. The size of ARM instruction definitely 32 bit, size of thumb instruction definitely 16 bit, size of Jezzel instruction are 8 bits. There are total 58 number of instructions belongs to ARM category, 30 instructions belongs to thumb category. If we know this 88 instructions, we can write any kind of programs in the ARM subject. Any difficulty, don't nothing to worry about it. We can easily generate or develop any kind of program. So conditional execution, we can achieve as many as possible conditional execution in ARM. Only for branch instructions conditional execution takes place in thumb set, there is no concept of conditional instruction in the Jezil instruction model or set. Okay. So similarly we have seen other differences with the differences between arm and thumb in the last class. So students, please concentrate more about this CPSR. I hope the question is of very important, like arm arm core data flow model. So that is also one question, and the CPSR is also another question which you can expect in the examination for sure. Okay. On the some students request, I have took some time for repetition. Okay. So now in the last class I have seen about a pipelining. Before I could go for today's class, within a small time I will finish revision of the pipeline also. So pipeline means ordered execution of instructions in the ALU. What happens if you don't maintain order execution? Very simple. Concept is examination is there. If you don't maintain proper seat arrangement, what happens? Any student will try to sit anywhere, and we cannot monitor easily the attendance, who is present, who is absent, for which student which question paper we have to give. It will be the difficult. If you maintain very neat order, like this, from this number to this number, this block here to here, this block, like that, just now you have gone through with the examination. So it was a very smooth. In the same way pipelining is also. So pipelining generally consists of 3 stages. One is a fetch, decode and execute. Fetch means collect the data as well as instruction. Decode means understand it, and execute means perform the operation on the data which you have fetched, the operation what you have fetched, the name of operation and the values of the operation we have to perform. To increase the efficiency, higher ARM processors or controllers uses more staged pipelines. What we are studying in our lab is ARM 7, but what we have in our day to day life is ARM 9, ARM 10, even higher versions are there. In the ARM 9, the stage line of the pipe is 5 stages: fetch, decode, execute, memory, write. Whereas in ARM 10 we have 6 stages: fetch, issue, decode, execute, memory and write. See this is how we get a more efficiency as we go with a more pipeline. But one thing we have to concentrate is the time of execution increases along with stages of the pipeline. But generally what happens is, processor with the high end, like today's technology, they will maintain more stages. Also they will maintain their efficiency better than the earlier versions of a controller. Okay, here is one example in which we have 3 instructions: add, subtract and comparison. First among this, add is fetched, then add is decoded, then add is executed. Once add goes out from the execute state, subtraction will enter, and compare will enter the next. Similarly, add will go out, subtraction will go out from the execute, and compare will go out from the execute. That's what is called. Okay, there is one simple example, one more case study. So ARM instruction sequence, there are 4 instructions: MSR, memory shift right, okay, add and subtraction. So they will come in the phases. First MSR is fetched, then MSR is decoded, MSR is executed. Add is fetched, add is decoded, add is executed. AND is fetched, AND will decode, AND will execute. Subtraction will fetched, subtraction will be decoded, subtraction will be executed. Okay, so fine. So this is what we have studied in the last class. So let's take today's discussion and exceptions and interrupts. Okay, so what do you mean by exception? If an event is under execution, event means program is under execution, some signal will occur that disturbs normal execution of the program which is under execution. So that means what? Here the program execution is little bit disturbed, so that disturbance is called as exception. You are going to study exception more in object oriented subject. Okay, that is Java. So divide by 0 is a exception. Okay, and wrong address of input device is also kind of exception in hardware subject, like ARM or microprocessor. So second, what do you mean by interrupt? Interrupt is also a signal which pauses presently executable instruction, and it will try to execute itself. Once it finishes its execution, then the earlier program will gets execution. Okay, say you are listening a music, you will get a call from your friend, and say you don't want to talk now. So what you will do, you will simply don't do anything. You may mute the sound of ringtone, but what happens for the call is continuous. Okay, so then what happens after he disconnects or the network time, then again say the call will be stopped, then you will get back the music. But what happens in exception, original program will never come back to execution. Say you are listening a music, exception occur means playing music itself is stopped. But whereas in interrupt, you are listening a music, you got an interrupt, after interrupt again you will get back the music. Okay, next, interrupt vector table. Simple way, when an interrupt occurs, what processor should do, how it should handle. So if that is everything is written and arranged in some corner of a memory, that corner of memory itself is called as interrupt vector table. See, in your university examination main booklet, on the front page you write details like USN, subject code, date, you will put your sign and also invigilator sign. You will turn back, there are some instructions what student should do, at what time he is allowed to enter, at what time he is allowed to go out, and like this. See, what student should do, everything is written there, that is what a table. Same way, what processor should do during which interrupt occurrence, that is also predefined. So the processor should do according to that. You are supposed to do behave according to what the instructions given in the answer booklet. Same way, what processor should do,